streaming.
Let's do it. Gotta get it pulled up on my phone so I can manage. Sick. So that's up and working. Wait a minute or two. Let's see, water bottle down. Chumphon. Which we might go further today. We'll see. Says departure. Haven't flown in a while, so figured it'd be worth doing it. Let's see. Yes, exactly. It brings you back to the old times, doesn't it, Sean? Just like Grandma used to make. Let's see. I want to do the S-76. Do I want to do the S-76? What do I want to do? What haven't we flown? Like, I really enjoy the Bell stuff. Oh! We could, do the helicopter here that happened to have a little bit of an oopsie the other day. Yeah. Honestly, this one probably looks like it's the closest out of all of them. Oh yeah, let's be... Nobody died. We don't need to worry about being insensitive or not. Saving back. Plenty of room. Chumphon. Already have that set as where we're leaving. We are heading up to somewhere up here. Larges and heavies. Is there a private ramp or something? Do we change from there to Bangkok? Does Bangkok have private ones? Yeah, we'll change to Bangkok. It seems more appropriate. Set as arrival. We'll swing by here. Add. And we'll just follow the coast up and around. Tom, what do you mean, who's this fellow? Who are you? Let's see, can I change this in this menu? Studio mode settings. No, don't care. I'll change it post. Cool, and we may extend going up here because we've got plenty of fuel. What's going on, Mr. Robert Harrison? Good to see you again, homie. All is well. Just been a good mix of busy and did a lot of helicopter stuff in real life, getting the license and everything. So I just kind of helicoptered myself out of wanting to touch this for a little bit. But, why not now, you know? Bell 222 Bravo, a famous looking one. I don't think this is the same one. But as the one that had an oopsie daisy at, the Cars and Copters fly-in. And the reason would be this pitch link here. Or probably this one here. Looks like that's the one that adjusts from the controls. So that one there, because it says one of them was fractured, so it looks like it'd be this one here at this point, or the other one on the top side is what went wrong. But ours look good. Shift C, let's get in the seat. Get myself pointing forward. Yeah, I never go live. It's wild. Somebody obviously stole my stuff. This isn't even me. I'm not real. Okay, let's see. Throttle's closed. Governor on. Blah, 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 blah. Whatever. A little bit more water. Kind of parched today. Yep, brakes are definitely nice to have. And the cool thing is, I'm not getting paid doing this really, other than $1 here, $1 there from you guys. So it's not like I'm missing out on full income or whatever. But I'm at 950 subs right now, so actually we may actually be in the money soon. Okay, so anyways, battery on. That's where we need to start. And we'll do our anti-collision lights as well. Turn our fuel valves on. Close our little things. Fuel prime. Fuel prime. Don't worry about seat belts. That's not necessary. Generator's not necessary yet. All that stuff's good. That's the start. Engine 1, which was down. We'll watch our needles start moving over here. Get generator. Engine 2 spinning up. Yeah. No worries, Robert. It was much easier when we first started out just because of the situation of everything, but let's see, pitot heat. Heat, position lights, prime's not necessary, but it's like I do enjoy flying. I do enjoy doing it at the sim. Just like I said, real life kind of wore myself out a little bit, which, and I think that's kind of understandable for anybody. Alright, Tom, thanks for dropping in, saying hey. We'll see how long today goes. I don't think it'll be that bad. Let's see. Acquiring signal. We're slowly spinning up. We're keeping our torque numbers low, looking right here on this gauge, which is right there. Let's go ahead and put this up. Put it like right there. Because even though I do have a panel option, I don't think it gets crazy or anything. Yeah. So we'll just keep this. Of course, we lose our nav with it, but really we're just following up the coast. You're 10 minutes late. Dude, how could you miss it? Okay, we have rotor speed up. The brakes are on. I gotta remember which is my brake button. Okay, there's my brake button. I changed some stuff around for the VAT sim things, but I don't remember. Pulling slightly up on the collective. Just to get us moving. Hurry up and clock in. We're going to be departing out kind of to the left and behind us. The Chumphon traffic helicopter, November 420 Foxtrot Whiskey, sitting on taxiway Alpha. We're going to pick straight up and depart to the north, Chumphon. See, gauges are in the green, no lights are on, fuel and everything is good, except the fuel's not where I set it. So I clicked the fuel button a few times because I wanted full tanks. And fuel's now where we set it. And we're going to just get on out of here. Gear coming up. You weren't near your phone? Yeah, it happens. So, fun story, I taught Dino somehow a couple of days ago. Got home from work. And I had set my phone down. And he was interested in it for some reason. So, of course, I'm like, Dino, leave it alone. Just pay attention to me. No need to play with the phone. It's not a toy. But he kept kind of pestering at it. So I kind of left it somewhere and walked away. He followed me. I was like, hey, Dino, go get my phone. And this dog somehow goes and gets my phone. Like, who the hell taught him what it was to go get a phone? And then I tried it again next day. Same thing. Went and got my phone. Who the hell taught my dog what a phone was? Also, is the music playing in the background for you guys, or do I need to pause? I'm going to go pause and look real quick. It's supposed to be. Why are you paused? Oh, I'm not logged in. That's why. I think it's for that one. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, I honestly wouldn't, like, it wouldn't put it past me if he was just a human in a dog suit. He's small, that's the thing. 45 pounds. So small human. Even midgets, like, they're stocky, you know? Like, they may be small, but they weigh like 400 fucking pounds, right? Like, they're just mass. Like, a little bit more out of a midget, they'd be, like, turning into a singularity or something. Oh, and I watched the full video today. Or, like, the kind of behind-the-scenes video of that dude who took the carbon cum up to 37,000 feet. I think it was like 35.7 was what the altimeter in the plane said, but GPS altitude was like 37,000 feet in a freaking cub. Look, I may be schizophrenic, but I don't know if I'm schizophrenic to believe that the CIA developed a very small human in a dog outfit to keep track of me, or just a very smart dog to keep track of me. There's a lot of things I believe. I don't think that's one of them. Oh, so what's new? Oh. GPS, didn't you say that you were heading to the Delta event? Whatever, Veterans Day. Is it Veterans Day event? Yeah, because it's kind of coincides with the Marines' birthday, right? Which I guess happy birthday to you, Sean. Semper Fi, hoorah, or whatever. Okay, gotta go. See ya. Peace. We'll be here. Glad you were able to get a notification on your phone and swing in for a second. But yeah, kind of like the beginning of this series. Even if we don't have big numbers, I want to finish this journey either way. So now that I'm busy-ish again, I'll just be chipping away slowly as we go. We had 3 working days this week. 2 of them were only minimum time days, so it's better than nothing. Not going to complain. Still super excited about that, but much rather it be a whole bunch of like 13-hour days. But I'm still not going to complain about minimum time days. Just thankful for something. My brother's got another show he's working on starting next week, I believe. So happy for him. I know he was going crazy sitting at home for like 3 months while everything was slow. Yeah, you found some deployment videos. You mean they didn't ask for those pictures when you when you first got hired as proof? Cool thing is, I think as we go a little bit further north, one of these airports that we're stopping at is actually a pretty stout helicopter airport. Chumphon may have been one, but a few of these places as we go north are pretty stout helicopter airports. The main reason being that they do a lot of oil stuff offshore here. And all the helicopters they use to get people out there are based here on the shoreline. And usually, it's a lot of like Leonardo's, Argustas, like 139s. And they're big boys like that. Mostly I've seen some S92s as well. Yeah, but anybody can go download a DD-214. Like, do they actually call and check references? I mean, I guess at the same time, anybody can buy used clothes and go through whatever amount of effort to steal valor that they want to. Which I feel like, if you were immoral, you could do that and get away with it pretty well. Until you find somebody who also, like, you could go and you could research everything, you could you could get names of times, deployments, places, people, whatever, and you can put yourself in that place mentally of get all the clothes, you could produce your own pictures now if you needed to. You can say, okay, cool, well, this group deployed here, and here. All during this time, went this place, blah, whatever. And you could pretty well build an entire fake history and keep up with it. But one day you're going to be talking to somebody about it, and they're going to go, oh, you were whatever company? I was too. When did you say you were in? Oh, wow, that's crazy. That's when I was in. I don't remember you there. Stories never line up. Our lead designer is National Guard prior Army grunt. Do y'all look down on him because he was Army, or does he look down on you guys because you were Marine? AIQ 3148. I feel like for most people to pass the sniff test, it's possible. Like, to be fair, there's a lot of fucking stupid people who are in the military. And I'm sure that you can agree with that, and anybody who's not a stupid person in the military can agree with that. But the stupid people who are in the military are going to think there are no stupid people, even though they are the stupid people. But like, I can pass the sniff test. There isn't much of that stuff, as they don't make it seem. Oh, okay. Like, I can sniff test most people on most lies or fibs or stories or whatever, especially if it's something that I'm aware of. Me, I'm a car guy. That's my thing. I'm not a gun guy. I'll never claim to be. I do like guns. I do a lot with guns. But I'm not going to be somebody who's like, oh yes, I am super familiar with the intricacies of the M14 rifle. I just don't know. Partially don't care that much. Because I look at that whole area as a very tool-based, utilitarian-based sort of thing. I enjoy them. I enjoy having nice stuff that works the right way. And I enjoy being a good shot. But I'm not a history buff when it comes down to that. And that's fine. Not everybody's going to be. So I'm sure there are some people that have like weird sniff test hits with me when it comes to gun stuff. Like, especially working on the sets as an armor. They're like, oh cool, what do you think about this, and this? I'm like, honestly, dude, I'm a gun guy, but I'm not that gun guy. We have people that work at the rental house that can tell you the intricacies of all this stuff. That's not me. I can make the rifle function, I can make it function safely, and I can tell you how the people who handled it would have handled it given the time frame that they used it. But I'm not going to be able to tell you history or anything like that, or even the name of it. I don't care that much, period. It sounds kind of dickish, but I don't care that much. Let's see another comment. The typical bell curve. Typical bell from those people think there. At the right is there's a lot more. Oh yeah, exactly. So yeah, it's like I'm sure there's some people that were like, oh man, Matt doesn't pass the sniff test for whatever to be an armor in the film industry. Yeah, that's cool, you know. Then again, like you could get the world's most knowledgeable person on guns. He's probably going to be highly autistic and have very bad people skills. Being actors and crew members who are there working in a very social sort of job, and you need to be discussing safety and handling and whatever, you need to have social skills. You need to be able to talk about things and articulate things in a way where people can understand what you're talking about. So even though I'm not the most knowledgeable, and I'll never claim to be, I am very good at talking to people who may or may not know better, and people who may be scared of firearms for whatever reason, or people who may be just uncomfortable with the idea of them, or just need enough to get them through, or conveying how something works or why something works to somebody who would not know the difference, which ends up making it look better on film. And that's what I'm good at. That's what I do. So that's kind of my cope, if you want to call it a cope. But also with that said, I'm very knowledgeable with what's current. No, I'm not going to say very. I'm going to say, very. I'm not extremely, but I'm very knowledgeable in things that are current in the firearms world. Like quality brands, what to look for, things that are gimmicky, companies that are gimmicky, whatever. Like I can sound that out. So I'm not just going to call out people with Holosun optics because they're not bad, but they're not Trijicon, Aimpoint, EOTech, Loophole, whatever higher end optic brand that you want to say. And there's some people who get it because they can't justify coming off that much money to get into an $800 red dot that effectively does the same thing as a $250 or $300 Holosun. That's fine. I understand. But I don't want people like that trying to talk like, ooh, it's just as good. Go get it. Get it, killer. Get it. Get the coyote. But yeah, like I said, some people don't care as much to have the absolute best of the best of the best. And the reason I'm kind of going over the whole gun thing is because it's something where I'm not, like I said, it's not my thing, but I know better. It's just I don't care enough to do better as far as knowing more, if that makes any sense. But when it comes down to like car stuff, which is kind of what I'm getting at with the dumb people who think they're smart. There's a lot of very dumb people, and there's a lot of people on different places on the bell curve. And it's weird on like how you need to classify people. Me being a car guy, I can justify having 50 or 60 different cars for daily drivers for no other reason than I really, really think that a 2006 Chevrolet Corvette Grand Sport, not like 2010 Grand Sport Corvette dry sump, so would be a great weekend car when the temperatures are between 60 and 85 degrees outside, and it's sunny weather, and it's not raining. And I can like justify owning a car just for that very specific subset of days in the year. So like I can also say like, cool, my perfect one car garage is a Toyota Land Cruiser because I can pretty much do anything I need it to. Or I can have a 50 car garage and have a vehicle for every single day and condition. So I'm weirdly able to judge people on their level of automotive knowledge on different things. So some people think they're fucking brilliant geniuses and they're just following trends, or they look into stuff, or a different level of people would be people who look into stuff once, see something, and then they lock in on that thing and they never do any research past that, or they've yet to experience other things, so they don't know what other sorts of things are out there, or they only get the picture of the outside looking in and not what the people on the inside looking out are. Let's say for an example, me and my friends, we started a race car shop back in 2013. It's still around. I didn't stick around too long because it's a long way for me to drive to start a shop where nobody was making any money and I needed to pay bills. Simple as that. So I gave up my share of the shop. But anyways, we've been to shows like SEMA and SEMA's sister show, PRI, which is just the cars. Or not just the cars, it's like PRI is the industry show for industry people, and SEMA is the industry show for non-industry people. More show, more glitz, more glamour. While PRI is like, cool, these are the innovations we made. Do you want to make a couple $100,000, a couple $1 million deal? Let's sit down on this little table and let's talk something up for our businesses. That's PRI, and that's what I like. SEMA, it's too showy, too much bullshit. Very few people actually build cars that I think are necessarily valuable to SEMA, or what people care about, what people are wanting to get out of it. For example, my friend Dave, love him to death, one of my best friends. But he's like, man, I really want to build a SEMA car. And I was like, dude, there's nothing about me that wants to build a SEMA car. Because I've been to PRI, and I understand what SEMA is in relation to it. Never gone to SEMA because I've never wanted to. And part of that's because the way that my personal ethos is on building something and putting my name on it, which I think everybody should do. If you're one of the few people watching now or rewatching in the future, one thing that you should do is whatever you build, if you're building it for yourself or as like a personal project or whatever you'd like to call it, build it to the highest caliber that you can. Don't cut corners on it. Don't take any sort of shortcuts with it, unless you're doing it as like a joke car, like, cool, me and my friends bought we'll say cars for this example. Me and my friends, we bought a $400 junkyard car and we're going to fix it a little bit, then drive it across the state. And yeah, don't spend a lot of money in it. But is this mountain's familiar? Different story. Anyways. But yeah, that's cool for those little things, but if you're going to build something that you're going to go out and show to people, build something as full and as complete as you possibly can. Don't start something in June to get ready for a show that's in December or November, whenever it is. January, February. Don't build something to meet a deadline, unless it's your job and that's your business and you're building something for a client. But if it's something that you're putting your name on, I kind of want to say don't tell anybody. Which some people need to operate on sponsors and say like, hey, Stop Tech Brakes, we're doing this thing, I really want to put your brakes on it. But the downside is a lot of these sponsors want to put their newest stuff on a vehicle, and then they want that vehicle to show off their newest stuff at the closest trade show. So that puts you on a time crunch, which means everything else is going to be rushed and not good. And that's not the way you should do it. Now, while there are a lot of people in the world that are dumber than you, that's a fact. If you're watching my stream right now, it's guaranteed that at least 90% of the world is stupider than you are, if not more. I'd even say 99% of the world is stupider than you are. Because, believe it or not, we're in the 1%. As far as income, as far as brains, you are top 1% of the world. But in that 1% of people who are also kind of into these things, guess what? A lot of them are kind of stupid, but a lot of them are really fucking smart too. And you can't pull shit over on people who are smart. One example I always like to point out to people is you look at people who up badge their cars. They buy a BMW 325i, and then they stick a whole bunch of M badges on it. It does not make your BMW an M3. It makes your BMW a 325 with some stupid fake-looking badges that anybody who is an actual car person is going to realize and call you out on. Anybody who's dumb enough to not realize it's not an M3 is not going to know the difference between an M3 and a 325i. They're just going to see a BMW sedan, and that's all that matters to them. They're going to be impressed whether you're in the fucking base model or the fastest fucking thing out there. It does not matter to them one way or the other. So with that being said, when you bring something to a trade show, there are going to be a majority of people there who are way smarter than you. Even if you are the world's smartest consumer, there are people who only do that job 24/7 for the past 25, 30 years of their life. The shot callers, the people who design, develop stuff that you've never even seen or heard of or thought about before. And those are the people who are there. And you showing up with some bolt-on parts, something mildly done, something that's been rushed, something that maybe it was well thought through and maybe it was executed all right, but maybe it wasn't done to a full extent of what it could have been. It's noticed. And now I'm not claiming to be a genius of something, but there are very few cars that I've been impressed with. When I say very few, I mean very few modified vehicles that I've been impressed with. There are a lot of bolt-on cars where it's just simple accessories bolted on, done clean. You know, good job, you kept it tasteful. You used the proven parts, the quality parts, like you did your research. Good for you. There's a lot of like bolt-on plus type things where it's like, cool, you rebuilt the engine and you put good parts in there. Great job. You know, you did good, you used the right parts, you used the quality parts, you tuned it properly, like you've put the testing and the time in there to make sure it all works the right way. Good job, good for you, you did it the right way. I wonder what's with the weird airspace over there. I wonder if it's like a national park or something. Huh. But when I was telling Dave, it was like, I personally have an extremely high point that I judge vehicles on. And I've never had the money to do anything the way I want it to be done, which is why I've never brought out any sort of show cars or any sort of built crazy vehicles, just because I may do a little part here and there as I can afford it to what I think's fun or what I need or what I want. But I've never been able to put something together to the caliber that I want it, just because I don't have the funds. I don't have the resources. I don't have the tools. And that's fine. It's like, and I know that you also have these extremely high standards of what you can create, what you have created. But we don't have the money to mess with that right now. Like, I don't have the money to throw into a SEMA car. And even if I did have the money, I don't have a shop that's going to be benefiting directly afterwards. Because even if you have the money to create a car, there's no point in bringing it to SEMA unless a company calls and says, hey, we know that you're using our brakes, we want to use you in a thing. But at that point, they already were probably sponsoring you or whatever, and then you're rushing it. Or let's say you've had a car, but we'll keep using stop tech brakes. No relation. Let's say I put on like their best brake kit from like 3 years ago, but it's still like one of their best brake kits. Nothing new or crazy's come out. They could still say like, hey, your car's been together for 3 years, and let's say I was able to build it to the caliber that I wanted. And this car has been driving and drifting and racing and competing and being driven and tested and used the way I would want to use a vehicle for 3 years. And they call and say, hey, we see your car is good, we like it, we've already shared it a whole bunch of times, we want to bring you in to our booth. Sick. Then they're doing it, and I'm not rushed because it's something that I've already built the way I wanted to, and not the way somebody else wanted it because we're using their parts. That would be an optimal way, and even better on that would be them saying, hey, we know you have big brake kit 1, 2, 3, 4, but we now have big brake kit new 1, 2, 3, 4, which happens to be a direct replacement for what you have, so it could be a whole bunch cooler and bigger and better, and we want to give you that as like a thank you for letting us use your car. Cool, yeah, fine. I would let a car go to SEMA for that. Or if I were to start my own automotive shop and build something to the absolute perfection level that I would want something to be. But at that, it wouldn't be rushed. It wouldn't be like, okay, cool, well, it's 80% done right now, and the show's coming up in a month and a half. If I was doing it my way, it would still take another year to finish it, but we're going to rush it and get it together for the show. No, not going to happen. I wouldn't do that. If it was ready to go, then yeah, sure. But unless it was completely done perfectly the way that you think it should be, and that you could look at it and go, okay, cool, I can leave this car alone, never touch it again, other than repairs or maybe improvements, because maybe a new part comes out or something, like incremental improvements over time, but not like completing stuff that you half-assed. Then sure, take it to SEMA to represent your shop, but don't take it when it's half-assed. And we don't have the money to build that right now. And I said, and on top of that too, it's like, cool, we don't have a shop that does anything like that. So there's no purpose of bringing a car to SEMA at that point. It's just, there's no need. But there's a lot of stuff. I'm very picky. I have a very high set of standards for things like that. Curious what airport this is over here. Is there a name to it? Chumphon Creek. But it's like, yeah, he had built a car, really cool car. He's kind of building it for himself and halfway for sponsor stuff. But then he took it to a show, and he had to rush a whole bunch of stuff at the end. The car didn't run. We had to push it off the trailer. A lot of questions like, oh, cool, what's the power plant? Like, stock right now. This was just the body kit. Slowly getting, but it was rushed. It was something where he could have done a whole bunch better, and he's capable of doing a whole bunch better. And I want my friends to be able to do stuff that is the absolute best quality thing that's imaginable, that's possible. And I think everybody should hold themselves to that sort of level. But to get back to that, the sniff test. What are these? Water buffalo, I think. But to get back to that, it's like, yeah, it's a sniff test. It's even though a whole bunch of 99% of the population may look at it and go, wow, that is so fucking cool. That 99% of the population doesn't know any better. They're never going to be a customer. And you're doing nothing but impressing the monkeys. And that's not worth any amount of money. $1 or $1 million. It's not worth it to impress the people that don't need to be impressed. GPS, welcome back. But if you want to impress the people who are doing the big dog things, you have to do the big dog things and take your time and do stuff the right way. So you have to be on your P's and Q's. You have to. You don't have to be the most knowledgeable person in the world, but you need to be somebody who's confident in what you have the facts to back it up. Never talk in definitives unless you truly is a definitive. Oh, low? Sorry. Won't happen again. Except we can't push over too fast because that's mast bumping. Yeah, you missed a whole rant about something that probably is making no sense to anybody who is listening or anybody who comes back and listens, so. Yeah, exactly, and it's a bit more exciting to watch, too, than when you're up high, things don't seem to be moving by as quickly, and it's kind of like you're looking at the same picture the entire time. But when you're nice and low down here like this, you get to see everything moving by you. It's like, cool, this whole mountain wasn't in the window a second ago. And now, completely in the window. And now it's just about all the way out. So, very cool. Yeah, yep, you missed a lot, but really just me ranting the entire time. Basically, talking about stolen valor. And how you can, if you're good, if you know a good bit about the valor that you're trying to steal, you can trick 99% of people, but there is going to be that 1% of people who is smarter than you or knows more about that topic than you do, and they're going to catch you. And then I went on a rant about how people do that with gun stuff, or how people do that with car stuff, where they may not know any better, and not be hurt anything by it. Like, oh cool, I bought this, let's think of something neat, or quasi cool. Like, oh my god, the new Nissan GTR is my favorite car. It's so sick. Okay, cool. Like, you picked a fucking computer that can drive. It's fast. It does the performance. Don't get me wrong, but it's kind of fucking stupid. Bless me. Oh, no coyote. Sorry to hear. You don't get to eat dog tonight. But yeah, so it's like, people will be like, oh, the Nissan GTR is my favorite car. It's so sick. It's like, yeah, people that are car people don't care. Like, there are car people who get the GTR because they are a very, very solid performance platform. But you can build a very fast Nissan GTR, and people who are car people are going to be more impressed with, like, a, let's say, a Corvette, which is like a super, super good aerodynamic setup and like ridiculous time attack suspension. Because it's a lot harder to build something like that than it is to build a computer that's already made to go fast into a computer that's going a little bit faster. Hey, you want a coyote scarf hat? But it's like if you were to, if you were to go to a real car guy, like a true one, not one that's like an Instagram, builds a car with the wheels and a wrap and a crackle tune and airbag suspension, because they may think the GTR is the coolest car ever. But if you go to like a real car person who's like sat down and built stuff and really, really done cool things and put the time and the effort in to learn a whole bunch of different things. If you are a girl trying to impress a guy like, I'm a car girl, my favorite car is a GTR, you're going to impress a whole bunch of idiots, but you're not going to impress the actual car guys. Just like if talking gun stuff or tactical stuff or whatever. Sean's really big on the gun and tactical stuff. I'm pretty big on knowing what's good and current or whatever. But if you show up and you're like, hey, look, I've got this super, super sick 511 tactical plate carrier with the hex mounting whatever system on it, I'm not even going to explain any further than that. If Sean's in here, he'll tell you what his opinion on that is. Which you may go like, oh wow, this is something that I paid $200 for at the 511 store. It must be like some really, really good high-speed stuff that like the cool guys use. Or you could talk to somebody who puts real time and effort into looking into stuff and researching stuff. And I'm sure any of the brands that I mention or that I want to use, Sean will be like, okay, cool, they're really good brands and there's nothing wrong with them. But he also knows niche brands that do things that I've never even heard of before. Just because I'm not that deep into it. That's not my space or my sphere. I've only seen the coyotes in the yard once. I saw a bobcat on the road the other day. Almost stopped to shoot it, but he disappeared out really, really quick. Manufacturing, yeah, exactly. Like I could say like, cool, I'm rocking Spiritus or Velocity Systems or First Spear or whatever other Cry Precision, something like that. And it's like, okay, cool, those are all solid things and you'll never have any sort of issues with them. They're going to work and they're going to be quality. But the 511 stuff, you're like, okay, yeah, it's just the most popular name brand that you click because it's the one that shows you all of the ads on your Instagram. Nah, not it. Kind of on that same tone, there is a beaver. Bober. There's my favorite Instagram page called Polish Daily Animals, and Bober, B-O-B-E-R, is how you say beaver in Pole, whatever language they speak, Polish. And every time I see a beaver video, I send it to a specific group chat, and everybody's like, Bober. Anyways, gear. Oh yeah, so working in the film industry in Atlanta, I've had the honor of working on many rap videos and music videos for hip-hop artists and people that like to carry firearms for their films. And it's as bad as you expect it to be. But let's see. Sorry, I had a text message. Something, what was I saying? Guns. Shit, what was I going for? Talking about 511, things. Oh yeah, okay. So they have these bodyguards. And I will straight up call out the name of these people because they're never going to watch this. Because like I said, anybody who watches this stream is the smartest 1% of the world. They are not. Guards Official Incorporated. And you can look at their Instagram. It's like guards.official_inc or something like that. Something stupid. You can message my main or my multi-shop account, and I'll see it eventually on the multi-shop account. But anyways, it's let's do this without being racist. It's a whole bunch of African Americans providing bodyguard security for a whole bunch of African Americans. And it's run by like a super tiny girl. She calls herself the CEO, I think, or the CEO. Either way, like, they get a lot of work. They work for a lot of influential African American entertainers that I have no idea who they are. You're gonna go DM me. Go for it. She has my cell number. But anyway, so like they've done security for a lot of things I've worked for, and like lower budget shows and stuff like that. But anyway, like part of their thing is like, cool, like you have to show up, you have to wear black to these things. Sometimes you'll wear a face mask and you can be armed or whatever. But like I look at their guns and it's like they went to Academy Sporting Goods and they bought the AR that was on sale and it's the cheapest possible thing, or they have a super cheap and notoriously unreliable handgun. And it's just like every single thing is not good. If you were to go to like any sort of Blackwater badass sort of dudes, actually Sean had a long message here. Like HK is awesome, right? But why? Because they fit niche and they do it well. If Taurus built something to HK spec and released it tomorrow, no one would trust it because no one thinks they could. Yeah, true. Something. Oh yeah, but anyways, like anybody who's an actual killer, anybody who's an actual hitter, anybody who pays attention to like what actual hitters and killers do, know that they're shit. They're just complete, not the shit, they are shit. But we did an experiment, a whole bunch of people in one of my chats. Yeah, it makes them seem tough. Seem is the keyword. So a whole bunch of people in my chats, we were making fun of them. We screenshotted a few of their posts and stuff that they did, or sent their videos and shared it to people in our family or our friend circle that are non-firearm people. We would be like, hey, what do you think about this security detail? Like, give us your opinions on these security people. And every single person that we sent it to, because I'm not going to say we picked the bottom of the barrel people, but we picked people very far mentally removed from anything to do with the tactical industry. And they were like, oh wow, they look super intimidating. They probably got some like ex-Navy SEALs or something like that, just because somebody had like a scary black rifle. And even then, like, so to somebody like me or Sean, we go like, oh, that's hardly a rifle. It's a Nerf gun that will shoot like 3 rounds before the chamber explodes. And I've like got into online arguments, which if you go to my personal Instagram and you go through like the highlights of stories or whatever, there's one called Bad EP, which is executive protection, where I was like going back and forth with this dude that was like guarding somebody big. I don't know, like 50 Cent or something like that. And I was like, he was doing like close detail stuff, but he had a super long rifle and he had like a $25 Amazon optic on it that was like a long scope with a red dot and a laser and a flashlight and all this stuff like bolted onto one thing. And it's like, it's barely meant to survive living on a BB gun. Like you can zero it at the range, but as soon as you shoot it, once it's zeroed, it's going to be unzeroed again just because it's so bad. And like I told him, I was like, dude, the people who are hiring you may not know better, and you may not know better. You may not be in that space. But I'm kind of in that space. I'm not going to claim to be some sort of god or anything like that. Walmart ninjas, yeah, exactly. I was like, I'm not going to claim to be in that space or whatever. And like, I wasn't posting a lot of shooting videos at the time, but there was one where I was shooting. And we were shooting like around some cars and golf carts and stuff in the woods at some targets that we had set up. I was like, cool, I was hitting all my shots or whatever, but skinny white dude wearing cutoff jean shorts doing something, like, not that intimidating. Even by my standard, not that intimidating. But I was doing stuff the right way. Footwork was a little silly though, and I think my caption was looking good, but still need to work on getting my feet to be consistent with where I need to be. Anyways, he came back on a reply like, yeah, your footwork needs some work though, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, this dude is so deep inside of his head, which also the Dunning-Kruger effect, I'm pretty sure I've mentioned on here before, was probably very strongly in effect with him. It was like, he's so deep in his own shit that he can't breathe, he can't see out of it. He just assumes everything is shit because that's all he can see. But it was just wild to me that there are people who don't know better, or their ignorance is purposeful, where you have the power to go learn more. You have the power to pick up your phone, to get on a computer, to do whatever. If you're on Instagram commenting back and forth at me, you have the ability to go to Google and look up stuff. Plain and simple. Showing to an interview with a Gucci with a discount rack suit. Oh yeah, exactly. But it's like, you have the ability, if you're going to market yourself as this security team that is paid, I'm assuming, thousands of dollars to protect these hip-hop stars who, in my experience, always carry thousands, if not tens of thousands of dollars of cash with them at all times, and wearing tens, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of jewelry, that you could invest in yourself, your knowledge, your gear, your abilities through training, and the people who you work with to make yourself better. To bring the absolute best to the table that you can, because even though your clients may be immoral idiots, they're paying you to do a job. And even if your morality aligns with theirs or whatever, they're still paying you to do a job. And I can guarantee you that myself alone can probably take out their entire security detail with them and take whatever I want if I had enough planning and time right. Or me and two of my closest friends, if not 4 or 5 of my closest friends, to have getaway drivers, blah, 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 whatever. We're more than capable of completely ripping them off within seconds with 0 collateral damage. Like, to a point where anybody in any sort of law enforcement would be absolutely baffled by the speed and the violence that would come in while handling it. And there would be nothing they could do to stop it. Nothing. Because the one time that they go shoot a year, you're telling me, Sean, I have thought about it so many times. Matthew being the good boy, taking his own sweet time, doing everything, is getting him absolutely nowhere. Meanwhile, Samantha shaking her ass on only... But, like, either way, there are hot girls who make money for doing immoral things on social media and stuff. White boys defense. Oh, an EP group, your finally got out from underneath the harsher. Oh, I'm not looking to do an EP group. I'm looking to rip them off. A lot more lucrative. Take from the immoral to support the morals. Because you would think that I'm keeping all the money for myself. No, I'm just trying to stay afloat. I will be pushing Christian nationalism, though. That's where all the money's getting reinvested in. No, but it's like, yeah, I've thought about the EP group thing. But, at the same time, people who are hiring that are outside of the know don't know what they're looking for. Few cases, or a few examples. If you look at, let's say, so we'll go back to after Rust happened, the incident where Alec Baldwin murdered somebody. There was a lot of talk in the film industry of any time that there is a firearm on set, that a police officer would need to be there to check the gun clear. Most officers don't care about their firearms. Most of them will shoot just enough to hit their qualifications, which are not that hard. And then they don't touch the gun again until they do their qualifications the next year. So 90% of firearms use, or 90% of officers don't care that much about firearms. Bless me. Now, sure, you could get the SWAT officers, which are going to be more likely, but a lot of times to get to the point to where you are in SWAT, you have to be doing that in your own time anyways. You could be an officer running the beat, doing whatever, driving your thing, giving tickets for fucking stop signs and grams of marijuana. But you go shooting on the weekends and you better yourself, your department takes notice, they invite you into trial for SWAT, and that's how you get the SWAT, because you were doing it on your own time. Guess what I do? I already shoot in my own time. I already shoot with SWAT officers. I already shoot with former MARSOC. I already shoot with former SEALs. I shoot with police from different decades and military from other countries. Yeah, exactly. Here, hey, John C. Officer, clear the MG34. Yeah, it's not the sidearm, it's the one that's in their trunk. Duh. So that's an example of, I forget where the base of the story was going, something. Oh, yeah, White Boys Defense. So people be like, oh, yeah, so you want to be our security, what's your experience? Like, I can't just say, like, I'm a white guy who likes to shoot. Because they're going to go, oh, no former military? Then my brother can show up, who was in the Air Force for 6 years. Be like, I was in the military for 6 years and deployed twice to Afghanistan. And they'd be like, oh shit, let's get him. He's touched a gun like once since he got out, like 10 years ago. And that was just to like try one of my suppressors. It's like, cool, who's going to be the better person? The person who trains on his own time? Helipad. The person who trains on his own time and shoots pretty consistently and hosts class teaching other people how to do stuff because he shoots with a whole bunch of other people and tries to get a good mental place as far as everything that's going on. I don't know what the name of this airport is, but we're going to stop in for some splash and go. Bleed off a lot of this speed. Don't know where their fuel farm's at. I'm assuming it's over to the left somewhere. No, it's okay. I know I don't have my gear down. It was strategic. But anyway, so people are going to ask questions and be like, hey, cool, well, I don't know if I can trust you because you don't have all these years of experience doing this particular thing that I'm assuming is going to make you a better person at doing something that I don't even know how to do, so I'm going to be hiring somebody anyway, so I don't know exactly what I'm looking for, but I think that what I'm looking for would mean somebody with more experience than you. Okay, cool. See, it's like I don't have that line or that level of experience that... Okay, that's my brake. Keep forgetting which one's my parking brake as I remapped it. I don't want to pick up, I just wanted to go this way. Cool, look at this. Fuel, I'm not even going to turn the alarm off. We're just going to fuel up real quick. And we out. Airport, whatever, we're fucking departing. Peace, bitches. So it's like, yeah, like we could start white boy defense, but people were like, well, what are you? Okay. And even if they didn't ask you your Marine experience, like if they did, it's like, cool, what did you do in the Marines? Well, I worked on the airplanes. Sure, every Marine's a rifleman, or an infantryman, or whatever the saying is. But also, it's like, cool, and if you don't put your personal time in there to get better at it, you're not going to be any better than any normal person who goes and shoots somewhere on the weekends. You were just probably ahead of the curve with your stuff because you were into that sort of thing beforehand anyways. So, but yeah, so like I have thought about starting some sort of EP service because outside of shooting, I'm also a very situationally aware person. I've worked with people on stuff like that. I've done some classes for different, like female groups and stuff, how to be more aware of the things that they're doing, how not to get caught with their pants down, literally. With enough tats, you can override half the questions. Yeah, exactly. Also, I'm not a super huge guy. I would really, really have to get into the fitness a lot more. And I wouldn't feel comfortable being like, look, I'm a super tough guy, unless I was like another 15 to 20 pounds on me. And then also I want to be doing some sort of like martial art hand-to-hand sort of thing. Because the answer to every problem, despite it being the easiest answer, is not to just pull your firearm out. Because the paperwork is not easy. And the lawsuits are not easy. So being able to handle yourself with something like a 2 to 4 year run of jiu-jitsu and then staying consistent with it will get you a lot further doing street fighting sort of stuff than just being like, well, I can carry a firearm. So even me knowing that I could do some sort of EP, whether it just be the driver who's also a good shot and good at logistics, like that could be my role. Now, could be perfectly fine in that and never need any other skills. But I don't personally feel like I offer enough to be the level that I would want to be. Yeah, like what you should be coming back from your jiu-jitsu lessons. That's like I said, which that goes back to what we were talking about earlier when you were off coyote hunting and stuff. It's like don't offer a product unless it's the absolute best of what you know that you're like capable of providing, given whatever time limit. Like, not saying a tomorrow time limit, but if it says like, okay, cool, like I am going to do an executive protection company in 5 years. In the year 2030, White Boys Defense will be starting and we will be offering contracts, or we will be hunting contracts for executive protection for people in the Southeast. In 5 years, I can put myself through jiu-jitsu as well as some sort of striking class. I can really, really up my my nutrition, get some size to me. I could put on 40 pounds of muscle if I wanted to. Don't want to, but I'm just looking for like a good 220. I'm already 6'2". And I can get a lot of stuff done in that year and be at a place where I'm happy providing myself as a full service, one person detail. Of course, I would like to have a multi-person detail for 99% of the stuff. There's very few things where it's like, look, if you're going to be hiring us, you're going to be paying us handsomely because you are a person that needs it. Like, I don't want to be like, oh, you're a rapper, or you're some girl that got plastic surgery to have a fatter ass. Or I don't care. I'm not going to provide EP for people I don't morally align with. Which I like. I don't want to say I want to go to like a mega church and be the EP for the pastor there, because mega churches are a big problem in themselves to an extent. But like somebody that I could morally align with that needed something like that. Like Charlie Kirk would have been somebody who had very strong EP. Like if you looked at all of his people, they were all very, very well sorted. They are probably some of the better EP people out there. Of course, you can't protect from stuff. I mean, presidents get shot at. So you can't protect from everything, given every situation, especially if there's compromises in the system. But like, I want to provide that sort of level of stuff where there is multiple vehicles, there's many, many people on payroll for each event or each setting where EP is being provided, etc. Yeah, exactly. There needs to be two. Like I said, there's some times where I've seen, back before I was really in this mindset, I was considering doing some sort of like light EP stuff. Because I've always been a car guy. I've always been a driver. I've always been somebody who I would like to believe is very good at wheeling any sort of vehicle given. I've yet to be proven wrong, so I'm going to keep going with that. But like, I feel like there's sometimes that, let's say it's a businessman or whatever, and their 10-year-old daughter goes to a private school. And they may hire somebody who's more than a driver to take their daughter to the private school every morning and pick them up and bring them home. I don't know if that's a two-person job. I guess it depends on the level of the executive or whatever the amount of like kidnapping insurance that they require. You know, you can make a good call from that. By the way, if you didn't know it, rich people have kidnapping insurance. And apparently there's one dude who does some consulting in the film industry stuff, who's a kidnap insurance payout exchange person, where if somebody gets kidnapped, they send him with like the Bitcoin wallet or the cash or whatever to go meet the people in exchange for the person who's been kidnapped. Which sounds like a pretty cool job. Wild, but cool. But I feel like that is one sort of exception where you could be a single person thing, but at the same time, if somebody's paying you $1,000 a day, because not only are you a driver, I feel like you're kind of on call the full day too, where it's like, okay, cool, well, the husband's at work, the wife wants to go somewhere, you're kind of going to be her driver as well, but you also get the kids, blah, 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 blah. Like, sure, maybe it is a two-person thing. Maybe it is where you have somebody else that follows you and keeps up with you and is always a second vehicle or always a second person there to take over if something happens, or to jump in if something happens. Which I've always kind of low-key had I don't want to say a dream, but a desire to require EP of some sort for myself. And not even like the super, super high profile sort of EP. Like you see it sometimes where it's like influencers or whatever, like they'll do the thing like, ooh, hiring bodyguards to protect me or whatever, and it's a whole bunch of people walking around like the biggest, strongest guys. It's like, okay, cool, I never would have recognized you in the first place, but now that you have 10 dudes around you, guess who I'm going to try to rob? You shoot 2 of them, the rest are going to fucking get out of there. They don't want to get shot. I think unless the client is their self highly capable enough, it's someone has to watch front, another behind, minimum if you're a driver. There would be a good security on either end of the loop. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, if you're good and they say like, okay, cool, we're going to be taking the daughter to school, like somebody's going to go ahead and be in front of you, look out for things, let you know, somebody following close behind, if not right behind. But yeah, like I've always wanted the sort of EP where it's just like maybe you and like 2 dudes who are like obviously former SEALs or Rangers or MARSOC or something like that, like killers. But like where they're wearing casual enough clothes, or if you're in a suit and they're also wearing suits, so they like you look like you all belong together and like nobody's really outclassing the other person. Because I'm not a small guy. I'm thin, but I can always get bigger. Especially if I had the money to have that sort of EP. Like, I'm not going to be living at 190 pounds. I'm going to be like a consistent 220 of muscle. Because I'll have time to work out and really put the nutrition and the effort into where I need it if I'm making that sort of money. But yeah, where it's like 2 people that are there obviously, but then if something happens, like 10 people come out of the woodwork. Like I always will look for videos of stuff like let's just say like Elon Musk or Bezos or Zuckerberg, like going into a restaurant or something like that, and like just playing like, cool, spot the protection. The best time I've seen something in person like that, we were filming a show called Black Mafia Family, which is about some people that started a drug empire and started laundering the money through the rap game and stuff. So you would think that we had the really, really shitty protection people. We ended up getting some good people. Just a security standard, you attack while they're on the move because they're at least aware secure then. If they're only secure on the move, they'll just hit at an easier destination. Yeah. But yeah, so we had gone to Detroit to film. Oh, it was filmed all in Atlanta, except for like a week or 2 in Detroit for each season. But when we went to Detroit, this is where they were originally from. And being in a multi-million-dollar drug ring, as well as the performing arts sort of area and any sort of bad thing you could imagine, there were murders, assassinations, and executions, a lot of money stolen, whatever, because of this family. We're filming a TV show about it, and the main character is played by his son. So one of the guys who started this entire thing, Big Meech, his son, Lil Meech, whatever, is literally playing his father in the show. So when we went to Detroit, a place where this guy's family had moved hundreds of millions of dollars through, if not more, and profited whatever amount, there are obviously people in that town who would like to see him either dead or get him as far as a retribution or a retaliation. Anyways, Detroit was not a friendly place for them just because of who they are. So the production hired security who were former military, but also former private contractors. So a handful, I was able to talk to a few of them because most of them were offset, doing like different perimeters and stuff like that they had set up. But the ones that were on set, I was able to pick out all of them and a couple of offset people, like point them out because I was talking to them about different things. But a lot of them were Blackwater. And if you don't know who Blackwater is, look it up. I don't need to explain it to those of you who do know. But these were actual hitters. And I knew some things more than what they knew. At the time, I was really big into ATAC. I had it on my phone, and I had got a handful of friends to get with it as well, and we were working on setting up some like networks to practice and do stuff with ATAC and be in communication on stuff like that. And they were asking me questions about that because I was able to pick them out and be like, okay, cool, so it's you, and you here. That's this right now. They're like, oh, wow, you noticed? Well, you missed 3 of us that were further out. But anyway, so I kind of earned their respect by calling them out, or pointing them out, not really calling them out, pointing them out. But those were a real hit. That was some EP that I actually saw in action, and it was impressive. Because they were pretty well hidden most of the time. They had the people they were sticking with, they stuck to them. Because it was like the director had their own, each producer had one, because the producers were like music producers and stuff too. Like a couple of the actors had them, etc. Anyways, we were filming. I'll even show you. We were in Detroit, which is over here in America. Where are we? Oh, it's going to be fun flying over the water trying to do this. Stop. Stop. Detroit. Yep, I'm already down to 100 knots airspeed. Is this Detroit? No. Is it further south? What am I missing here? I thought that was the Detroit Passage. Oh, maybe it's here. Yeah. This seems more right. Yeah, here we go. Okay, so we were filming in this park here. Whoa! Oh no, that's setting up for an event. I was about to say, that may be us, because film crews just kind of take over like that. Anyways, we were filming in this park here, right near downtown, right on the water. So there's a handful of hobos and stuff in the area. You know, we were filming here. Of course, the actor, director, all the big people are like right here-ish. Anyway, hobo starts walking through this way, cutting through set, and one of the production assistants was like, hey, you can't do that, something, and they kind of push, like, didn't push her, but like walk past her. You don't tell me what to do. Anyways, 7 people from all corners of over here went and surrounded this guy. Meanwhile, well, I'll say 3 people, or the 4 that were assigned for like immediate close duty stuff, the actual personal protection people, they got onto their person and stuck on them, put themselves in between them and the threat. Like 7 other people that were just kind of had been all around, all went up to this guy, like 2 or 3, got basically within arm's reach of this dude, like doing everything except for touching him to help muscle him out. And like the other 3 or 4 kind of formed lines on the side to help funnel this dude out in the direction of that he was going, but to also keep him away from everybody. And it was very cool to see. Because most security guards are nothing but just somebody to call the police when something happens, you know. But anyways, yeah, it was super, super cool seeing those people in action. Also, I was pulling a lot of torque there. I hope we didn't toast an engine while we're this close, especially over water. Beep. I know. I got below the radar altimeter limit. Yeah, so that's a cool story about legitimate executive protection. It's one of those things where it's like, while I've got no problem putting myself in that situation if I needed to and I had the appropriate backup and everything, I'm also not trained in any sort of hand-to-hand sort of things to where I could feel comfortable if something were to go hand-on-hand and I were to be the primary in that incident. Of course, don't put yourself in anything that you don't personally know that you can get yourself out of. It's a good one. But anyways, those are people who passed the sniff test. Those are people who, when I saw, I was able to pick out, like, okay, cool, you're all competent. They all weren't wearing, like, whatever 511 tactical, just like bolt on everything, which nothing wrong with 511. Don't get me wrong. I wear their pants when I'm at work because they are kind of optimized to work with AR-15s, and we work with a lot of AR-15 stuff at work. Pocket size, whatever. But they're just like, they're not the best by any means or stretch of the imagination. They just happen to have they had a very large and good run of contracts when it comes to their clothing and some of their accessories and stuff like that. Whether it be with police departments or different military or government agencies, to where they were able to set up a manufacturing facility where they could pump out tens of thousands of examples of whatever they want at any point in time, and they also have tens of thousands of examples of whatever you want, size, shape, or color, on hand at all times. So whenever me working on a movie set says, hey, we're filming a show, it's a big one, we have Tom Cruise in it or something, we have 100-something SWAT officers for this one scene, we're looking for a whole bunch of belts and plate carriers and stuff like that. They're able to just give us all of this shit and be like, hey, here you go, use it, and not ask for it back, and just give it to us for free. And they have the ability to financially do that and give away $20,000 to $50,000 worth of inventory, just like that. But they also have it on hand in whatever color, size, shape, or whatever we want, which not a lot of companies have that. And even if they do, not a lot of them will want to do that because that's not their thing. Like Cry Precision, they probably have a whole bunch of that shit on stock, but they're not going to do it because it's like, cool, y'all aren't government contractors, we don't give a shit. Fun fact, a competent threat will set up situations like that to probe and see the response. Therefore, you have to react with limited restraint to even an obvious incident. Oh yeah, this dude was obviously a fucking crackhead. But that is very true. If you don't want to have somebody come out with a butter knife threatening you, then break out the MG42 and mow them down. They're like, oh, well, they had machine guns, so now we need rocket launchers. No. Taser and bear mace. But use the flammable bear spray first and then the taser. Give them a show. Something wild talking about competent threats that I was listening to was the fact that talking about AI and cybersecurity and how different people, places, companies, whatever have been compromised or whatever. How they say, like, cool, it's a lot of it doesn't even come with malice. He's like, the U.S. and its contractors and its agencies are constantly breaking in to other people's things. Constantly. And it's not because we really, really want to get into the tax database for Kyrgyzstan or whatever. Like, we don't care. We already know. But we consistently probe a lot of these places because we need to know how to get into it. If you learn how to pick locks in the 1980s, and then you say, okay, that's cool, and then you only ever pick the same lock that you learned how to pick locks on, when somebody shows up with something new and sick that's been invented in the year 2025, you're not going to know how to deal with it. You're not going to understand any of the newer technologies and manufacturing processes. So you have to consistently break into other people's data centers and cyber facilities just to be good enough to do it if you have to do it in malice, which is a wild thing to think of. And there are countries that are constantly like trying to get into some of our stuff or are getting into different things that we have or whatever. But it's like you always know when it's not a threat because they're not getting into like the Department of Energy. They're like hacking like the U.S. National Park Service or something like that. We're like, cool, it's probably a sister program. They can still learn a lot from it. But they're not breaking into like the fucking nuclear agencies or anything like that. Vice versa, you can really confuse infiltration measures by keeping your major stuff on pen and paper. True. Which they did say that there was some things that were only in physical form. Let's see. Trying to figure out what our best way in. We got plenty of fuel. A lot of time. The question is, once we get up here, do I want to do another leg? Because, like, I wanted to hit Bangkok regardless. That was going to happen either way. But it's like, obviously we're going this direction, and now I'm heading 20 minutes this direction. If I wanted to continue, the smart thing to do would be go ahead and turn and head up to here now. But I don't think that's necessary because I think there's probably some airports or something up here somewhere. Yeah. So that stuff I could hit on the way up here while getting up to MST for the next time. Yeah, I think next time our target will be either MST or then bumping over here to there. Then we can start kind of making our way up coastal. Get up to Nepal, then jump over India. Bless me. Sorry, guys. There's the river. Or a river. Yes, Everest is on the... Definitely going to stop there no matter what. I have attempted to summit Everest. As far as I can tell in the game, it's impossible. In the A-Star, which is the one that did it in real life. There is a chance maybe I just had the wrong weather settings on. I don't know. Maybe we don't have the right A-star. Maybe it's like the B3E model or something like that. Don't know. Didn't look that far into it. Maybe I'm just not good enough of a pilot. But there's something missing because it's tops out at 22,000 feet or something like that, which they've flown it up to like 38,000 or 40,000 or something ridiculous. They've taken it very, very high in altitude, and they've landed and taken off from Everest. So it is possible, but the game really doesn't mess with fringe limits on things. Just like that one dude took the Carbon Cub up to 37,063 feet or something like that. I doubt that even if you were to have the exact same plane here in the sim, that it would work. Just because they only put basically stock numbers and whatever. Yeah, exactly. The physics is definitely not one-to-one. It's pretty good. And I do plan on one of the next times I fly in real life to do a handful of maneuvers and record it, and then discuss those same maneuvers in the sim and record that and do a video comparing simulator flying versus in real life helicopter flying and the differences I noticed and things that I wish would change in the sim, etc. Oh yeah, the Cub, it was close the cabin, turbocharged and everything just to get the air in there at that altitude, because naturally a spirited engine isn't going to work there. Which, cool thing, speaking about altitude and piston engines, so I don't know if you remember, but watching any flying of like the Robinson R22 here in the sim, which maybe we'll do a shenanigan session with that and I'll demonstrate. But the manifold pressure is directly related to the altitude and the atmosphere that you are in at that time. At 2,000 feet, when it's 30 degrees Celsius outside, my manifold limits are 22.5 inches of mercury and 23.4 for 5-minute takeoff power. Can it pull more? Yes, but those are what the limits are. And those limits are there to limit the amount of power that the engine produces, so it's consistent engine output all the way up to the altitude of 11,000 feet. With that said, once you get up to those higher altitudes, you have different manifold limits. Those limits go down. But at a certain altitude, those limits go away. And it's not because you don't have limits. It's because there's not enough altitude and air pressure up there to actually make that amount of pressure inside of your manifold. So it's like, okay, cool, like down here at the ground, base pressure's 27 or something like that. But when you get up there, you lose pressure for every 1,000 feet, or as you go up in altitude, generally it's like 1,000 feet, 1 inch. It's like 1 inch of manifold pressure, 120 feet per 0.1 of manifold pressure, or something like that. 120 feet of altitude. Or, yeah. But anyway, you go up to like an 11,000 foot airport in a Robinson R22, and you can only pull like 17 or 16 or 15 inches of manifold pressure. Not because your engine's running out of power, it is, but there's not enough atmosphere up there to actually get the manifold pressure that you need to create the amount of power that the engine's rated for. B3 with a 150 pound weight reduction. Yeah. Basically a stock helicopter, everything just taken out of it except for the necessities. Yeah, very interesting thing they did getting that that helicopter up there. Very cool to see. But yeah, so like, well, one of my instructors. Well, I haven't flown with him. He's kind of like a partial owner or whatever. Anyway, just a smart guy. Like, he corrects the FAA on shit because the FAA will get stuff wrong every once in a while. But talking to him, he was like, yeah, if you go to whatever the highest elevation airport here is in the U.S., it's like 11,000, 12,000 feet or something like that. He's like, you go up there in the Robinson, it's like, cool, you can only pull like 18 inches of manifold pressure. That's it. Like, you don't get any more than that. And if your hover power is more than 18 inches, you're not hovering up there. You're doing a run-on landing. And that's what you do when you do a running takeoff to get out of there. Or you wait until the conditions change. It's like that's the only way to get out of there in that particular sort of helicopter. And he's like, and you may say that, oh, cool, I'm never going to fly up there, which I don't really want to. I don't want to take something up to a place where I can't hover and land. Sounds terrifying. But with that said, it's like, cool, you may be in a thing where it's like you're doing some transfers or a passenger flight or something in an R-44. And it comes to something like that. It's like, cool, we paid you to get us up here. The helicopter's physically able to do it. Run-on landings and running landings are a thing. I don't want to say for a reason, but it's a thing that you can do if you need to. And it's not like a banned thing. It's not like, oh, no, you don't do any sort of run-on landings ever. You don't do a running takeoff. It's like, sometimes it's kind of necessary if it's, like, especially if you're starting out up there and you're going to be flying a distance. Sure, maybe you're able to get in there as a single person. But when you get up there and you refuel and you put 2 passengers in, you're overweight for what could be getting off the ground there. Woo! Those are power poles. Almost toasted us a good hour of flight there. I'm over here trying to read the comments and yap about shit. But also there's in-ground effect, out-of-ground effect, hover ceilings. There's weight limits for different areas, which 1,370 pounds is the weight limit for the Beta 2 Robinson R22. But that weight limit lowers if you have 2 heavier people in the cabin because it's a lot of weight further forward. You would have 2 lighter people and more fuel, and you can go higher in weight because you're not far enough forward to affect the forward center of gravity enough to be an issue. Ooh, there's a big building. So yeah, there's a lot of little things, and what we'll do, we'll if one of you guys are paying attention or listening, let me know what like a super high elevation airport is here in the U.S. and we'll hop and skip a little Robbie out there to show you just like the manifold pressure game. Or maybe we'll do it in Hawaii. So Hawaii, I can go from sea level up to 11,000 feet, I think, getting up to the big one. Lert Prawili Long Tan 88. A long tan what? Telluride? Maybe that's the one I did before. Because I did it after he was talking about that, just because, like, I understand what he's saying, but, like, I wanted to see it in person, see if the sim represented it, and it did. Like, I don't want a long tan anything. I have no idea what you're talking about, dude. I'm gonna go this way. Heading over downtown Bangkok now. This is at a level where I could be knocking some fucking drones out of the sky. Honestly, Thailand's a place I would want to go. There's not a lot of foreign places that I'm really interested in going, just because of the way that they've been governed recently. Like, most of Europe's, I don't want to say trash, but so much of it's been lost, and like the heritage of different places just been lost by everything. Aspen, maybe that, I think that was the one. Yeah, that's it. What's the Aspen's airport code? Throw that in there. And we'll drop off a VIP up here on this big building too. I assume they have a helipad. We've been watching Physical Asia and the Thailand team. Some freaking you. Oh, is that Physical 100 or whatever that Korean show was? K-A-S-E. Case with a K. What? No helipad up here? That's dumb. Okay, there's one over here. We're picking this building. Yeah, I know my landing gear's up. Silence. Witch. Done scared me. I thought I did something wrong. Yeah, Thailand. There's a lot of places in Europe I want to go, but it's like a wind coming from behind us. What we're gonna do a quick turnsy doodle. I was getting pushed. Much better. What? That was bullshit. Okay, we're not calling that one. Shut up. There's your RPM. We did not crash. We were in a good spot there. Interconnect doesn't need to be on. Restart my ass. I did nothing wrong. You go back and watch that. I did my turnaround. I was setting up nice and slow, and I was at like 2 feet per minute going down. And it killed me. Rewind it. I hit a building with my wheels as I was landing. No, if I had entered VRS or something, I was like settling with power and landed in Vortex Ring State or something, then yeah, sure, but I was even level, I wasn't even tail down on that. Here, I want to rewatch it myself. I was level. That was crap. The excuse, you hit a building, your fault. You landed on a radio antenna. Was there a radio antenna there? Let me rewind again. Here, I'm gonna pause my thing so I can rewatch this. Get rid of the chat. Put this here. There's no antenna. There's an air conditioning unit about 20 foot below my tail, and my tail was over the pad when I got down to landing. It wasn't modeled. Well, then how am I supposed to avoid it if it's not modeled? It wasn't modeled. Simple, just avoid it. Yeah, just don't land on it next time. Easy. No, what was it? It was Australia that was really, really bad on the coast there, wasn't it? Where it was like trying to go land on that little sand island where the sunken boats are. And it's like just doing it like a standard super, super slow approach over the water. It was just like, nope. Sorry, instant death to you. Like they say, everything in Australia is trying to kill you. That just proves that right. It was the pterodactyl. That's right. Airplane. Oh, let's see. So yeah, I went to Aiden's going away party Friday. This last Friday. Because he is now in Hawaii, Aiden being my instructor. So he's now in Hawaii, flying tours on the far west island. I don't know the name, and I don't know the name of the tour company, but they fly 44s. So probably the cheapest tours in Hawaii. Anyways, if you're going to Hawaii and you want a tour, go to the far west island. Ask for Aiden. Super cool guy. Tell him you know Matt. Matt sent you. I don't know if you'll get a discount, but he'll be like, oh, sick, Matt. How do you know him? It thwomped you? Were you standing back there holding the antenna down, like holding a branch for somebody as they're trying to like walk down a trail and you just let it go? There's one of the buildings scared it flew into the rotors. Jurassic Park was filmed in Hawaii, so try again. Hey, look, Sean's finally been dubbed #1. Okay, that was probably that pad there. What was I gonna say? Something helicopters. Anyway, we'll call the around the world thing at the end here. Or we'll go doodle around the 20. Oh yeah, anyways, Aiden. That's what I was getting at. Aiden's now in Hawaii, so my instructor's gone. Robert was #1 when he got here for a bit. when you push a straw on a desk fan. Yeah, so Aiden's out there now. So now there's Brett. Will be my new instructor once I start doing instrument stuff. I am also going to... Either way, I want to do a 10-hour block in the R44 to begin with, just to get up to speed on the 44, so that way I can do rentals with it. If I have 2 or 3 other friends who want to split the cost and go out, that way I'm not limited by weight of the 22. But yeah, so we're going to start doing instrument soonish. I'm potentially looking at another job here soon, and if that works out the way I'm hoping it will, then I should have some spare cash sitting around. And I would like to start doing my instrument rating, so in the 44 at least, just to get up to speed on that. Then I'll start mixing 22 and 44, where like learning time can be in the 22, but if I'm doing any sort of practice approaches or whatever, I can do that in the 22 I need to. I'm going solo. But yeah, it'll just all depend. All in the air, no pun intended, because it's related to flying. Yeah, I've done one flight in the 22 since I got the license. Took my dad up to down technically to Barnstormers for breakfast one morning. He really enjoyed that. He said it was neat because usually in airplanes you're flying at like, because he's a fixed wing guy. Like he had his he got his fixed wing license back in like 71 or 72 in high school, or just out of high school or something, for $599 or something, and that was 20 dual and 20 solo hours, like a special that some dude at the local airport had. Which is ridiculous. Like, man, that would have been nice. That was like 2 hours worth of flying for me. Let's see, get down below 60. We'll hit our little wheels. Boop, 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 boop. Forward, so I'm not blowing these little fellas around. Even though that dude's in my parking place that I called ahead and reserved, I'm not going to be too upset about it. So here we are. Is he taking off? That's all the speed we got, boys. I mean, I got more speed, but no more acceleration. Anyways, come back over and... But I love doing takeoff follows like that. AI planes, or if people are online or whatever. It's just fun to kind of get the camera angle. Yeah, I know, we're bringing the gear back down again. I had taken it up for our little race. Okay, now back over here, landing with the wind. Here we go. Watch. We're leveled off just as we were last time. We will be slightly tail back, just because of how the helicopter hangs. Brake on. Sick. Shut that thing up. Roll the throttles down. How did we lose? Yeah, exactly. They're basically turtles in the sky. Throttles all the way down. I'll leave the collision lights on. That's kind of nice to do. Let me turn the... Shut up. Are my idle stop buttons not working? Do you guys need to be on? There we go. Are they really that slow? But I'm clicking off. Cool. You've given me no choice. But to starve you. Well, it sucks being turned off, doesn't it? Parking brake. Is there a rotor brake on this thing that I'm not aware of? That's a vent. I don't think so. Weird. Anyways, all that's off. Generator off. Generator. Off, off. Let's see. Shift C. Tab. Cool, thank you. That is episode 55 of We Fly Around the World. We're now going to go shenanigan around a little bit with a 22. Anything is slow with 200 knots headwind. And yeah, that was a Bell 222 Bravo, much like the one that crashed at Copters and Cars or whatever in California recently because of a pitch link, which would be back here. Sure this isn't dangerous. We'll just slide in right here. Yeah, those little things there. Smooth. Okay, cool. Let's go to KASE. Why am I looking all the way over there? In flight. Departure KASE. Let's go to daytime. Actually, let's say Set as arrival. Cool. That'll just give us a thing. Helicopter. R22. Save it back. I'm not going to change anything with it. Actually, I'm going to add weight. But first, I'm going to go somewhere that's not there. First, we're going to come down here. Jesus, look at all those things. Take off from a military base. Set its departure. Cool. Sun nice and high. And we'll do a before. Yeah, I always stop the light in my hand. Usually by pulling a brake lever. You can see the line there. Like groomed forest to ungroomed forest and shit. This is also where everything gets a sepia tone when you record it with your camera. Okay, so lesson plan. Oh no. Did we just crash? If we crashed, will we start for everybody? Yeah, we crashed. I'll restart flight sim because what did I just hear? I don't know. Okay, where we're starting, give us a second. Chill trap on the screen. Oh. Women are so annoying sometimes. But damn, can you not live without them? I mean, I can. I am currently living without women. But boy, do they get annoying sometimes. Here we go. We're good to go. Start. Click my little button here. Get us back where we're seeing the VR things. A Helios plane? What the hell's a Helios plane? You have to elaborate on that one. Yeah, cool. We're gonna do Daytona Beach. Flight conditions clear. Old Greek airline. Is a Helios a type of plane, or is it a this is loading, I'll look in real quick. Oh, is it just a normal airplane, but that says Helios? Or are you talking about like the NASA Helios crap? I'm sure somebody's made a Helios livery. Don't walk into my helicopter. Thank you. You've had a rough life there, haven't you, homie? Okay, so let's see. Shift C, no need to pre-flight anything. So, let me explain what we are looking for here. I'll scoot forward some. We're going to turn battery. What's that caught on there? And strobe switch. Fuel all the way rich. Put the guard on. Throttle down. Governor on. Turn, turn, turn. That's on. That's on. That's on. Sick. Okay, so I don't think we'll be able to see it anywhere. I don't think the manual shows it. Whoa. Nope, not on the back side like it usually is. Okay, seriously, dude? Anyways, I made the temperature warm. Yeah, exactly. Embry-Riddle University planes everywhere. Oh, that's not an ERU. But yeah, all these ERUs are Embry-Riddle. Anyways, as I turn the throttle up here to get us into operational range, what we're going to be looking is our manifold pressure gauge, which is this one right here, measured in inches of mercury. I can tell you with the given temperature outside, which it says it's that, but really it should be warmer. So I'm going to make sure that we're warm. I said it is much warmer, but it didn't save. Here. At 33 degrees, we can assume it's about 30 degrees outside. On the pavement, it's kind of hot. Anyways, at 2,000 feet, which we're not, but whatever. With the heat and everything, it's probably more of a 2,000 foot density altitude. But we can only pull a certain amount of manifold pressure. Like I said, these engines are good for like 160 or 180 horsepower, but we are limited to 124 or 131 horsepower. How is it limited, you ask? Not by our throttle, kind of, but it's limited by us, the pilot. So if I were to pull my collective up here, which you can see it moving, and you can watch the manifold pressure gauge start to demand more power there. So that's us asking for more power from the engine. That's not where I set that down. And that's not where my left one is. So when we're asking for more power from the engine, by adding more pitch, the engine is going to, or the governor is going to keep our rotor RPM the same. And to keep our rotor RPM the same as we are, I want to also give us a Jesus, dude, what is your issue? There we go, we're near max gross weight now. Okay, so it should be harder for us to take off now. Anyways, as we're asking for this power, the engine's trying to keep, as I'm pulling the collective up, which I'm doing, the engine's slowly putting more... Leave us alone, dude. Holy shit. The engine's giving us more and more power to hover the helicopter. And at the way we should be right now, to have our 124 horsepower, we should be using about 22.5, or we should be limited to 22.5 inches of manifold, and then 5-minute takeoff power of the 131 is 23.4.9 higher. As you can see, we're hovering below what the max is, but if I were to try to take off as a max performance takeoff... What is that thing doing? Good job, dude. So our 23.4 line, we have 21, 22, 23.4. So halfway in between there is kind of what our max performance is. So if you can see my takeoff here, up to that 23.4, like that's all I can ask for. And even there I'm pulling more than what I need to because this needle's a lot bouncier than what it should be. You can see, like, I can't even go straight up. I have to get forward airspeed to get off the ground in any sort of measurable way. And now, let me just... We'll see what our manifold pressure limit is, or whatever, or what our max limit is. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to pull as much collective as I can before the rotor RPM starts drooping. So you see, I'm pulling a lot of collective right now, and it's still giving it to me because we have 160-something horsepower. But we limit it at 28 right there. And now we start getting that rotor droop. And we are at like 29 sort of inches of manifold pressure there. And now you can say, okay, cool, if you pull the collective all the way up, you get to that 29 inches of manifold pressure. That's cool. What does this have to do with anything that we're talking about? Well, let me show you, Sonny. If we... Feels weird pausing in that weird stage of flight. We come out here to KASE. So there's arrival. Actually, we'll start on the ground. It says departure. Start. The guy on the flight line went, "You are not allowed to fly here at this time at this manifold pressure. I will phase through your cockpit." And we're actually going to change the time on this. Because this is not what I've wanted. See, it still shows my temperature way up there. It's not 91 degrees here, guys. Trust me. It's fucking cool. Actually, live weather. There we go. Live weather, but real time. Kind of different. There we go. Much better. Shift C. What's our elevation here at Aspen? Oh. So we lost engine there. Because we have different air here. 7,800 feet. Okay, so we're looking at like 8 inches of manifold pressure difference between here and where we were. So we were at 29 earlier for like what we were limited at. So we're not going to see much more than that 21 that needle's sticking at right now. It's like I don't know what our manifold pressure limits are to make our power here. But you'll see as I pull up all the way, once we get into a hover and everything and just take off. Like it doesn't matter what my... Yeah, we're much less weight in here right now. Manifold pressure because of where we're at. So this goes... Yeah, welcome to hard mode, exactly. Not only is the air thinner, but our engine making its whatever power, it's making it in a very different spot because of the manifold pressure that's available. And then also we don't have that much more. So let's do it like this. If I were to say that we are full up on fuel, and then I were to tab in payload, 1,391 pounds, we'll bring it down to right at max. There we go. Load. Load. So we should be very heavy at the moment, I believe. There used to be a different menu for doing this, but I guess something changed. Oh, this was it. $13.73. Sure, that's fine. 3 pounds over, no big deal. Okay, so I cannot. I'm pulling max collected there. I cannot get off the ground. So our wind is coming from our other direction here. So technically, you can. Technically. We have to burn just a little bit of fuel, actually. Oh, no, that's not what I want to click. Resume. I wanted tab. I want to bring us down just a little bit, give us a chance. Where are they flying? Oh, beaver wheels. Which we might not be able to. We might be way overweight for this altitude. 1330, because there are limits to... Do I have my notebook with me? Go throw the laptop out the door, yeah. Let me see what hover limits are. R22, beta 2, hover. Images. So at 7,000 feet here, 11 degrees. Yeah, we're definitely overweight. I'd have to take like 100 pounds out. We're gonna keep inching this down, which I can just move this over here. Jib T42. 1,296 pounds, so we're 70 pounds under gross. I don't think it's going to happen. Here we go. So I even had to fight the horn a little bit there just because we barely have enough power to keep the blades turning at this speed. And the airspeed is our friend. So seeing them fly that up to 37,000 feet in a piston-powered airplane, which this is give or take the same engine. 44 is a 6-cylinder. This is the 4-cylinder. So they had to put a turbo on it, or else you could not make the manifold pressure necessary to make the power necessary to fly the plane. And we barely got off the ground there. Is Aspen just slightly higher in elevation? Looks like it might be. We're going to try to work our way up there. It's only 2 miles away. I'm only gaining like 100 feet a minute altitude. Of course, we are playing with the wind in our favor as well. Yeah, so that's a strong demonstration. Like I said, you can't pull more power than what the atmosphere gives you. And him talking about like, okay, cool, well, you can't get the manifold pressure there. Because at the end of the day, like, atmosphere pressure and your manifold pressure are directly related to each other. And I had never thought about it. Not a single time had it crossed my mind. Although it makes sense now, thinking about having the different manifold limits at different altitudes in the POH and on the startup sheet, on the back of the startup checklist. Yeah, we're not going to make it up to that altitude. It'd be a miracle if we get up there. Because we're losing airspeed, and if we lose our airspeed, we lose everything. Bad piloting decision, but we're going to go that way. It's just not going to happen. So I have to turn out over this little saddle, because if I go up there, I might not be able to keep enough airspeed to turn around. It was electric. Easiest way to get past any sort of manifold limit, power limits, is it's electric. Wind at 330 at 8 knots. What are our runways here? Yep, so wind's coming up my butt. It's looking like it's going to be a left pattern airport, but we're in a helicopter, so we're going to favor a right pattern. Okay, dude, adios. Thanks for dropping in at the beginning and here at the end. Good as always to have you in here. Hopefully I'll be doing a little bit more of this as I have some time, because things are starting to free up some. And yeah, you're on the Discord, so I'll be chatting to you. Good night, dude. See you. Yeah, I just tried to pull more there, which we even had more manifold when we were on the ground there, just this little bit of altitude that we have over the ground there. we're getting like 21 inches there. Like, all I can get here is like 20 and a half just from that little bit of extra altitude. Losing that much air pressure outside. $80 mil to produce a speed of 22 miles per hour for 90 seconds. But I can tell you what, I can do a lot with 90 seconds. Plenty of moms out there know that. And also, me getting up to that 20 inches of manifold pressure, I am barely moving the collective. I am not putting a lot of pitch in whatsoever. It's just incapable of giving me any sort of I don't want to say usable power, but really usable power. Or usable lift. I can't put a lot of pitch in the blade just because the engine can't make enough power to give me the pitch I need. Which I even took the governor off to see if I could get me a little bit of extra by giving me a little bit higher RPM. But we're already at the limits. Which I'm at full throttle. Which this one doesn't have a full throttle light. Some R22s have a full throttle light where if the governor's demanding full throttle, then you know, like, okay, cool, wow, I'm definitely at the limits of what the power can give me. But we're going to come down this way. We're going to do a run-on landing. This is new to me to see a... Oh yeah. It's not just with little piston helicopters. I mean, some of the bigger helicopters, they're super heavy. It's all weight related. You know, if you were to make a A-Star fully loaded to its payload capabilities, like, you're going to have problems at altitude. This is just an issue with piston engines because you can't get any more air in there than what it can naturally just suck in. Turbines have a really, really good compressor set up to make all that power, but piston ones, you get to altitude and you're really, really limiting yourself. So we're going to get over this field over here. And like I said, I'm basically milking every single inch of power I can out of this. I'm watching my rotor RPM there on the top right. And that's me asking for an extra inch of power, but it just doesn't have it, and it's pulling me down to the bottom of the green. So I'm having to lower the collective a little bit to keep us on the top of the green, which is where it should be. We're going to line up for a run-on landing here. I don't know if this is something I would practice in person as far as high altitude flight, but knowing about it and knowing how to handle it is definitely a good thing. So with a run-on landing here, it's going to be a shallow approach. Carburetor heat on, which technically should give us a little bit more manifold pressure to pull, but it didn't model that. So that's not something that we have. What I'm doing here, I'm knowing that we didn't get off the ground till we were at like 30 knots airspeed while we were on the ground. So I'm going to be very particular coming into here. We're going to keep her above ETL, or effective translational lift. And right now I'm holding 15 inches of manifold. 20 is all I have. I don't have any more than 20. So as I slow down, I'm going to have to add a little bit of collective to keep myself in the air. That's the thing. I'm not going to follow those suggestions. I can turn those off by clicking that. So as I'm up to 45, or down to 45 knots, my goal is basically just to slow down and just be going over the runway as slow as possible until the helicopter basically just falls. Because this is still kind of fast. So I'm slowing down more. Trying to keep this attitude now. And keep this speed. I don't want to slow down anymore. Because if I try to slow down more, I'm going to be out of ETL. And we all know that I cannot hover right here. So I've got slow enough to where it's going to bring me down. And lower the collective to bring us to a stop. But yeah, that's a run-on landing. Yeah, I know. I'm just trying to get you to move. Anyways, yeah. This would not be a place where I would go to land knowing that I had this much weight on me. If I knew that in the process of getting up here, let's turn that back up. Aircraft. If I knew that getting up here, I would be getting down to 10% fuel. Down to 1,170 pounds, 200 pounds lower than gross, then I should be able to just hover here. And even then, not really. But here it's much easier, like I'm much lighter on the skids. I'm still not moving, but I'm much lighter on the skids there. But yeah, like you need to know what your weight and your fuel is and stuff, because your performance at altitude is definitely a lot different than your performance not at altitude. Throttle down, bud. There you go. Anyways. I started early tonight so I could kind of end early as well, because I've got other things I need to and want to do. Sean, thank you for being here. Georgia Plane Spotting, you're already gone, but thank you for being here. Robert and Tom, thank you for stopping in. And anybody who watched, much appreciated for you being here. I promise I will be doing some more. Just been a bit of life going on, but see ya.